Now on Talking Solutions, we've got our friends in from Safe Nest. I want to welcome Liz Ortenberger. Liz, you've been in the studio before with us. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Also, Hannah Brooke is on support.
Good morning.
Good morning back at you. We want to make sure everybody knows Nevada's Big Give is coming up next Thursday, March 23rd, and we want everybody to remember our friends at Safe Nest, domestic violence shelter. We wish there was no need for you.
We would wish the same thing, but unfortunately that is not the trend. We have an epidemic in southern Nevada.
That we do. Safe Nest has been around how long?
We opened in 1977, so 40 years.
Time flies. And unfortunately, as we mentioned, the need continues for help with domestic violence. Shade Tree mainly helps women, children, anytime they can break free from an abusive situation.
Safe Nest is designed to help victims of domestic violence move from crisis to confidence, and we take care of the entire pipeline. For some victims, that means shelter. For our female victims and our children, we have a confidential shelter. For our male victims of domestic violence, we arrange housing to support them through that journey. We also have a full counseling office in which we provide support for people recovering or people that may not need shelter, but they need some support. We have a crisis hotline 24 hours, 7 days a week that's staffed so that anybody can call and talk about domestic violence, ask for support, find out what resources are available for them. And we have a strong advocacy program where we're actually down at the courts helping. We actually file all of the emergency restraining orders against perpetrators. It allows the victims to some time to figure out what's next for them without having to have that perpetrator able to have access to them. And then we work with victims of domestic violence to extend those temporary restraining orders if they need to. But we are there for the entire pipeline of support. And we are the only confidential shelter that provides that. There are other locations in town that provide short-term, which is also important, but to actually move a victim of domestic violence through the paradigm, Safe Nest is the place where we provide all levels of support.
Liz, I did not realize that all of the people who come in contact with Safe Nest for assistance in domestic violence situations, I kind of figured, and I think most people do, that they all end up at your doorstep and they need a place to stay.
Right. No, so domestic violence as a field has changed over the 40 years since we've been in existence, and there has been different theories, and everyone's searching for solutions to an epidemic. And what we've seen over the years really is helping a victim of domestic violence safety plan. So for you or for I, a safety plan would look different as it would for anybody. There are as many different safety plans as there are victims of domestic violence. And for some folks, that means we need to help you secure transportation to wherever home is to get to your support network and link you up with who can provide support in that space. For some people, it is shelter. For some people, it is, okay, I really just need to be able to breathe for a week until I get a paycheck from my employer, and then I can actually set up my own housing and move out, but I need some support in your counseling area. For some victims, they need a friendly face in court. They need somebody who can sort of tell them how this works and what to expect and help them be prepared for that interaction with the judge. So we're there. And for some people, they need every aspect of what we deliver. And for some victims, they need pieces of the garden, basically.
The time when a victim leaves is also the most dangerous time. The lethality goes way up. That's why we have to truly listen to the victim and what their needs are. So as Liz mentioned, they may just need a hotline call just to talk to someone. And you can call our hotline as many times as you would like until you're ready to leave, and we'll help you every step of the way.
It makes sense to me, Hannah, that the moment that that person who is a victim of domestic violence breaks away is the most dangerous time because their abuser is losing control at that point.
Absolutely.
And that's absolutely sort of the central reality of domestic violence is it's a power and control situation. So then when someone is losing control, that is, as Hannah said, the most dangerous time for a victim. And so we are so proud of our folks that work in our call center because they really do listen. They get support. We tackle over 30,000 phone calls a year for support on our hotline. So there's no shortage of need. And I am so tremendously proud of our counseling staff who really helps lead us in trauma-informed care so that we are victim-centric, so that we're making the right choices. We don't simply plug people into here's the 4-week program for you. Absolutely not. We plug people into the right path for them to get from crisis to confidence.
Liz, you're mentioning 30,000 calls for assistance through your hotline, your helpline. It stuns me. How many are victims of domestic violence? The numbers are crazy high.
Yes. 1 in 4 women in her lifetime will be a victim of domestic violence, and 1 in 7 men will have violence in their life. So there's no shortage of need. And what's important for us is that so many people believe that domestic violence is a physical crime, but there are so many elements to domestic violence, and it all comes down to power and control. And if, as a member of any relationship, if you have lost that power of control, you've been isolated from family and friends, you have no access to financial security, any of those dynamics and many, many more create a dynamic of domestic violence. And so a lot of what we try to work on too is our advocacy and outreach to really educate our youth in the school system, within community outreach programs, to explain to youth what domestic violence can look like, so that victims and or folks that are growing up in violent households are aware of these dynamics, and hopefully we can do what any good lifeguard would hope to do, and that's prevention 99% of the time. So we work in that space as well, because that's the future. The future is preventing domestic violence before it happens.
We want to break the cycle.
Absolutely.
Just like all the people who come into contact with Safe Nest, Liz, they have unique situations. That's what you're providing back in the way of support and assistance.
Yes, absolutely.
So there's a lot of different solutions. Basically, what I see, Safe Nest works as a bridge to get people from the situation they're in to where they want to and need to be.
Yes.
I was watching Hawaii Five-0. They had a new episode on, and it had to do with human trafficking. Local teenage girls who disappear, who end up in situations like that.
Yeah.
Human trafficking situations are a problem also right here in Las Vegas.
Absolutely. Vegas PBS ran a wonderful documentary about a year ago around human trafficking and sexual enslavement, which is what the result of that can be. The statistics around human trafficking, especially when you start to look at the local numbers, are staggering. Girls as young as 3rd grade begin to be groomed for this lifestyle. This is an epidemic that also needs to be dealt with. Southern Nevada has got a little bit of a spotlight on it, but certainly Arash and the Partnership for Homeless Youth, homeless teenagers, they're in that space because that generally fits the dynamic of the population that they're dealing with. And I think as a country and as a nation, as we start to see this and understand this epidemic differently, so many people who we talk to about human trafficking believe it's an act of foreign women. But the reality is you hear stories of girls being shipped from the Midwest or those kinds of places. And I would love to applaud MGM, who takes they don't call it this, but it's a no prostitution policy, a no human trafficking policy. And so if they witness any of that in their resort, they'll report it. Also, Southwest Airlines has a training program for their flight attendants to recognize human trafficking so that they can help sort of be at that front of prevention and identifying and then helping a victim get to a safe place.
Just like that episode of Hawaii Five-0 from the other night, I know afterward my husband was exceptionally quiet.
Yeah.
And seemed stunned by the realization that this was happening. It's nothing new.
Yeah.
I think the challenge before us is to raise awareness to make everybody realize that this is a problem so that we can see it starting to happen in our neighborhood, put a stop to it before it happens.
So many of these issues are community issues, and organizations like Safe Nest exist to be there as a support mechanism when a victim is brave enough to come forward. But so often it is going to be a neighbor, a pastor, the person who works the counter at your grocery store who you interact with every week, who can be your lifeline to courage. So if people see something, say something, knock on your neighbor's door. You know, as communities have become more isolated, and certainly as we in Las Vegas get ready for our wonderful summer heat, people are inside more. But reach out to your neighbors. If you think something is going on, figure out a way, call the hotline. We can certainly help, at least talk you through if you are concerned that domestic violence is happening in your neighborhood or with a family member. But ultimately, it is us as a community who's responsible for the health of our citizens, and we are all in this together.
Awareness is our first challenge, and that's for all of us. It's not just for Safe Nest. We've got to share the responsibility of making sure everybody knows that this is a problem. We've got Liz Ortenberger, also Hannah Brook, in from Safe Nest today, and the reason why we had to call you in right now is because next Thursday, the 23rd of March, it happens every year, it's Nevada's Big Give. I'm well familiar with it for a lot of different charities. I'm going to say there's about 400 different charities usually that are part of it. We want to put a special emphasis on how needed and how useful your donations are when you make them through Nevada's Big Give for Safe Nest, the domestic violence shelter. How do you guys pay for all this? I mean, how many people a year do you end up helping, both women, men, children?
Well, when you break it down, about 1,000 residents come through our shelter, and that can be anywhere from a 4 to a 16-week stay. We field 30,000 phone calls on the crisis hotline. I do not know how many folks we help within our court, and then our outreach program touches thousands. So our numbers are large in who we're reaching. What I would ask everybody to do is it costs, on average, $70 a night to support a resident in our shelter. So support a night, support a week, support how much you can, because what you are supporting is building the fabric of a victim, rebuilding her or his life and family so they have a platform to move forward. So $70, $210, $420, whatever you can give in that space helps move that paradigm for someone who is suffering from domestic violence.
Well, and since I've been involved with Nevada's Big Give in previous years, it's a few years into existence here in Nevada, there's also that option when you get onto the donation website. I've started doing monthly donations. If you can't do it all at once, it's okay.
Yes.
Do $10 a month. Do $20 a month. Do whatever you can handle. They'll take care of it. Seriously, when it's put into those little small chunks, you don't even feel it.
And when you give to us, I want you to be able to imagine that you're helping a child celebrate a birthday. So many of our children that come to shelter have never had a birthday party. You're helping a young mother have a baby shower. So many of our moms never had any support during their maternity, and so a baby shower, it's such a natural thing for us in Southern Nevada. For the residents that we have coming through the shelter, it is the first time. But it's the first time of many because we're building that platform for them to have happy and healthy lives moving forward. So when you give, whatever you give, know that you are making a huge difference in the lives of our residents.
It's for Safe Nest. And when these domestic violence victims get out of their situations, a lot of times they have to start over from scratch. They need help with everything.
Absolutely.
I know downstairs, I was just talking to Delbert at the front desk. She was saying that she donates household items and clothing, and Safe Nest calls and says, hey, can we come around and see you? We always ask as part of Talking Solutions, how can we help you?
Absolutely.
I know one of our main emphasis points today is to talk about the fact that next Thursday it is Nevada's Big Give. One day where we're going to get local residents to donate everything they can to charities that matter. And here at Beasley Media Group, we can't think of any charity that deserves it more than Safe Nest.
Thank you very much. We appreciate that. And every dollar goes to help. But as we also speak, we have a fantastic donation center. We love clothes and sort of miscellaneous household items. You certainly can call our donation center. We have trucks that are out doing pickups every day of the week except for Sunday. And so we can work with you to get your donations to the shelter and ultimately help fund what women need and what families need and victims of domestic violence need to start over.
And another item that we're always looking for donations of, simple things like hygiene items, sanitary napkins, tampons, hygiene products, shampoo, you name it. Anything that we kind of take for granted on a daily basis. We actually set up a room for the women to go in and quote unquote shop. Many of these women haven't been allowed to make a decision for many years in most cases, and some will spend 15 minutes in the room. Others will spend a couple of hours because it's hard for them to decide what type of shampoo because they've never been allowed that choice. So when they come in and start healing, it's just part of the process.
Because they've been so tightly controlled.
Correct.
And now they're going to be out and free and relying on their own choices.
Correct.
Safe Nest helps with all of that. We've got Liz Ortenberger and Hannah Brook in from Safe Nest. Once again, reminding you that Thursday is the day for Nevada's Big Give, March 23rd. Just think about it. What can you spare and really help change the lives of people who are so deserving, not just women, but children. There are men who are also victims of domestic violence, and unfortunately, far too many people. I think a lot of times with Las Vegas being such a tourist destination and knowing that well more than 40 million people visit here every year, maybe the uninformed believe that a lot of this goes on with tourists. Really, truly, most of it is our neighbors.
Yes.
People who live here, our coworkers, our friends, people in our church, people in the grocery store.
Yes, 30,000 phone calls that we field on the hotline every year. I would say less than 1% is coming from outside of Las Vegas residents. It's not coming from the Strip and places where our tourists are. It's coming from our neighbors.
Yep. And from the domestic violence homicides this past year that we had, many people, if you ever listened to the news or read the newspaper, heard comments from coworkers, from neighbors, well, I knew something was going on. I just didn't feel it was my business. Well, make it your business. Pick up the phone, call 911. If the worst thing that's going to happen is that you're embarrassed, then you may have actually saved a life.
Yeah, that would be a mistake I would be willing to make. Mm-hmm. If it was something in error, I'll apologize, but they'll know that I cared enough to do something.
Right, and that's what law enforcement asks as well.
It is Nevada's Big Give next Thursday, March 23rd. We're going to put the links and everything, contact numbers for Safe Nest, website, all of that on our Talking Solutions Facebook page, along with a podcast of our discussion today. We're talking about different ways that we, as residents, can help Safe Nest. We have talked about, of course, Nevada's Big Give. Donate what you can. That makes a huge impact. Nothing's better than money for fixing problems like this and helping to provide resources, but also the donations of things like household items, gently used clothing, personal hygiene items.
Yeah, what we like to tell folks is imagine you had to flee your house in an hour under duress with your kids. You don't take the things that you may have left. So in a lot of cases, we're getting folks at shelter with one suitcase and a family. And so anything in that space is fantastic.
One of the other things, too, Liz, you mentioned all the people who help on your crisis lines.
Yes.
Taking those thousands of calls. What about volunteer efforts for Safe Nest?
Absolutely. We have a fantastic volunteer program. We do extensive training because of what we are tackling as an issue. You need some support to be able to understand that. And we have volunteer openings for folks that want to help in our advocacy program at our courts, people that want to help in our outreach program, people that want to help and support at the shelter program, either on the hotline or simply providing support for residents there. So we have lots of opportunities, and you can find those on our website or give us a call and we'll get you linked in.
Perfect. What is the website?
Safenest.org. Just go there and click on the link for Nevada's Big Give, and it'll take you right to the appropriate page. And we're also inviting everyone down to Tommy Bahama at Town Square from 4 to 7 that same evening, just to celebrate Nevada's Big Give, meet some board members, staff, come meet Liz. She's our new executive director. Great person, and a lot of fun, too.
I love Tommy Bahama.
Good. Come down.
Seriously, birthdays, anniversaries, and 3 Square every year.
Yeah.
Does the restaurant week.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right.
Tommy Bahama always does charitable functions like that.
Well, bring your hubs.
I'd love to. Next Thursday, March 23rd, Tommy Bahama, Town Square. Well, I think we all know what we need to do. First and foremost, donate during Nevada's Big Give next Thursday, March 23rd. Easy to do online, and the links for everything you need will be on our Talking Solutions Facebook page, along with the podcast of our discussion. Liz Ortenberger, the new executive director of Safe Nest, and our friend Hannah Brook, thank you so much for coming in to tell us all about this on Talking Solutions.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.